Okay, stand by. Hello, thank you all for joining us this morning. Before I turn it over to Congressman Kildee, I just want to let you all know that I will allow recording permission momentarily, so just be patient with us. And then at the end, we'll have time for any questions and answers. If you have questions, just unmute yourself and we'll start from there. All right, boss, take it away.
All right, well, thanks, Kelly, and thanks to all of you for being here today. You know, today is a good day because yesterday the House passed this legislation, the Susan Muffley Act, to restore the retirement benefits of 20,000 Delphi salaried retirees, including, you know, in my home state of Michigan, about 5,000 retirees. So I want to thank Bruce Gump, the chairman of the Delphi Salaried Retirees Association, for being here today, along with Alan Gerwin from Saginaw, my district, as well as Tom Rose, Tom Green, Mary Miller from Ohio, who I know Mr. Turner has been with for the last couple of days, all Delphi salaried retirees. These are people who've been fighting for over a decade to have the benefits that they earn restored to them. And I especially want to thank Congressman Tim Ryan and Congressman Mike Turner, who have been partners on this. I mean, the three of us have worked this for quite a long time. Actually, the two of them for longer than me. But you know what? We came together. In 2013, we had the task force, congressional task force on Delphi pensions. And we've been working on this, hoping to get it resolved. And yesterday was obviously a really big day. It's a long time in coming. We did it because we believe that in this country, if you work hard and if you play by the rules, you should be able to retire with dignity. And obviously, that's what we're fighting for. When GM filed for bankruptcy during the recession, the PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, unfairly cut the benefits up to 70% for some of these retirees, 20,000 people. They worked hard, the Delphi salaried retirees worked hard, had great careers, played by the rules, and had the rug pulled out from underneath them. The government, and this is a really important point that we made repeatedly during the debate on the floor, is that the government rescued GM, but left these workers and their families hanging. That's wrong. After more than a decade of legal battles, it became clear that only Congress can right this wrong. And that's why I was proud to work with my colleagues on this call to introduce the Susan Muffley Act in March of this year to get these pensions restored. So the Susan Muffley Act was supported by Republicans and Democrats, and we saw that yesterday with a 254 to 175 vote, 218 Democrats, 36 Republicans coming together. And that by today's standards is a very bipartisan outcome. We don't always agree on things here in Washington. The three of us don't agree on everything, but we did come together to do the right thing for the Delphi salaried retirees. And of course, what the legislation does is makes up the difference between benefits that were earned and expected and what they actually received. So moving forward, all beneficiaries will receive their full benefit as well as back benefits that have been lost. These families have gone through a 13-year nightmare. Families like the Muffley family, David Muffley, worked at Delphi as an electronics technician for 31 years, but lost the full value of his pension in 2009. His wife, Susan Muffley, was a part of the Delphi salaried retirees leadership team in this fight to restore these pensions. Despite health problems, though, Susan avoided seeing her doctor given the family's financial constraints due to the loss of the pension. And she was ultimately diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and very sadly passed away on August 9, 2012. After working hard for over 30 years with the promise of a pension, nobody should ever be forced to forego medical treatment because of the loss of a pension. That was just, it's a very sad story. And that's why we have put the Susan Muffley name on this legislation, to make sure that we remind people that this is a human story. And seeing Democrats and Republicans come together to acknowledge that was really important. You know, after the vote passed yesterday, I went out onto the steps of the Capitol and I called David Muffley and told him what we'd done and told him that we're not going to stop until we get this all the way through the president's desk. So this has been a team effort, and I now want to turn to one of the leaders of that team, Congressman Mike Turner, and then I'll come back and introduce the remaining speakers. So, Mike, take it away.
Thank you, Representative Kildee, and thank you for your leadership in delivering this to the House floor. I was very pleased to be part of it. We've worked for 13 years. I want to congratulate the Delphi salary retirees. They've kept this alive. When General Motors went through its bankruptcy and the White House picked winners and losers, the fact that these people lost their pensions, that had been their hope that they had planned for in their retirement, it was a complete and total injustice. The fact that Congress has had to step in is a result of the fact that the federal government took these pensions away. These pension plan was funded. It was terminated as part of the General Motors and Delphi bankruptcy. I believe wrongly. The SIG-TARP, the Inspector General's report for TARP funds that were used for General Motors, clearly said that the White House viewed the Delphi salary retirees as having no leverage in this process. They filed suit, kept this issue alive. Without their suit, I don't think it would have had the prominence that it did. And I want to thank Representative Kildee, Representative Ryan, working together. We were able to pass through the House this measure that we now have to get through the Senate. I'm very pleased that President Biden has indicated his support for it. President Trump had similarly indicated his support for rectifying this. So you have both, two administrations and bipartisan support in the House. This is something that the Senate should take up, and they should restore these pensions.
Thank you, Mike, for those comments and for your leadership. You've been a great partner on this. Now, another of the partners, also from Ohio. It's the only thing I don't like about these guys is that they seem to root for Ohio State. But I want to turn it over to my very good friend, Congressman Tim Ryan, who's been a leader on this as well for a long, long time. Tim? You're muted, Tim.
I knew that. Dan, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your leadership. Mike Turner, thank you for your leadership. This has been a long slog, but the congratulations at this point really go to the Delphi salaried retirees. As Bruce knows, just nothing but admiration for Bruce Gump and his entire team, big and small within the organization. Started meeting 13 years ago down the street from my office at the Sunrise, a pizza shop and restaurant. And it's also important to note that the Delphi salaried retirees funded this entire thing. This is all money that not only were they getting screwed out of their pension, but they were taking their own money, hiring lawyers, going through the process for years and years. And so it's a case study in how to advocate for things that you believe in, things that are important. And this is obviously important, as Dan and Mike has said. The federal government was in the middle of the restructuring of the American auto industry, which puts the Delphi salaried folks in a unique position. One, because they got screwed from the reorganization, but also that I think it opens the door for the federal government to try to make it right. This is an issue of fairness, of justice. And we're just super thrilled that we were able to get it to the House floor. And now we've got some work to do in the Senate, and we just got to put on the full court press. I really do believe that we've got the ball in the red zone here, and we just got to, unlike the Detroit Lions, we got to actually get it in the end zone. I don't even know if the Detroit Lions get into the red zone anymore, but if they did. But Bruce, again, thank you, and to you and your entire team. We're just going to press this thing until the very, very end. This was something that the Obama administration, originally screwed it up, and here we are today fixing it. But we've got a little more work to do. So let's just keep the heat on and keep the pressure on, and let's get this thing done.
Thanks, Tim. Now we've got three of the principals of this. Bruce Gump, who's the chair of the Delphi salary retirees. Al Gerwin, who's from Saginaw. I represent Al directly, and Tom Rose from Ohio, whom I met yesterday and we chatted before. We'll take it from here and give us the perspective from the folks who've been affected by this. So let's start with Bruce Gump.
Thank you, Congressman. And, I can't speak loudly enough about how important this has been to our membership. It's just a giant sea change, right? And for the first time, we have good reason to have real hope that our government will see us as just as valuable as those who were in the unions. Character really shows up when a mistake is made. We are always taught in my family that everybody makes mistakes. So first you admit it's a mistake. Second, you work hard to correct the mistake. And 3, you learn from that mistake. The mistake has been admitted to. The president himself said it was wrong. It's really good to hear that. It's really good that there is a way to fix this and pursuing that. You 3 have just been lions for us. We thank you so much. You will always have our gratitude of pushing as hard as you did and doing all the things that happened to get this through Congress. So it's going to mean a tremendous amount to us and our families and our whole communities when our pension comes back to us. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce. Let's go to Al Gerwin in Saginaw. Al? You're on mute, Al. There we go.
I fixed it. As Ron Bieber said the other day, you guys are superheroes to us. No other words can explain the joy and many of us felt last night when finally one decision, your votes, landed in our favor. We pray this joy can continue through a vote in the Senate and then on to the desk of the president to end this 13-year nightmare. Myself, and I'm sure all of the DSRA members, know many of their former co-workers that have struggled through the decisions that put us into this situation. Some are faring much worse than others. I myself worked for over 40 years, 41 if you count the time the company left me active after walking me out with over 200 others in June of 2008. We left with contracts to fully deliver our earned pensions and earned benefits. Sadly, all that changed, as you know, after the GM bankruptcy. Personally, I still remember hiring in and the meeting with our personnel staff in 1968 explaining what we could expect if we worked until retirement. I was thrilled to sign that contract, and I worked every day after that to honor it. The meetings and decisions of the Auto Task Force, the PBGC, the Treasury Department, GM, Delphi, and even the UAW put the bankruptcy exit plan together for GM and Delphi. You know that if the Delphi salary were not allowed to be part of this discussion, we have said for years that if you're not invited to the table, you must be on the menu. Yesterday, Representative Bob Good of Virginia said he had lost his pension with his first job after college. His next employer went bankrupt and he lost the value of the stock that made up a good portion of his next pension savings. He said he just continued to work hard and save money for retirement. I also worked hard and saved money for retirement. My pension was just simply taken at a time in my life I no longer had time to build another. Most of us in the DSRA just don't have the years left to do that. My 40 years were gone. I would just like to say God bless our struggle and God bless our representatives that are working so hard to correct this problem. God bless you guys. My prayer is on to the Senate and then on to the president's desk. And thank you for your work and your listening.
Thank you, Al. Now we'll turn to Tom Rose, who is right there with Mike.
So Representative Kildee, if I could just for a moment. So Tom Rose, Tom Green, and Mary Miller in my community have been the leaders on this issue. And I was very pleased to host them when we had the vote, to give them a call and say, come up here to Washington, be off the House floor while we're doing it. Thank you yesterday for taking a moment to speak to them. You were a celebrity coming up to them after this vote. But I do want to congratulate the Delphi SAR retirees again, because they're the ones who've so diligently made certain that this issue were made in the forefront. Tom?
Thank you, Congressman Turner. Excuse me. And to you, Congressman Kildee and Congressman Ryan, we can't thank you enough. We wouldn't be here today without your help. So on behalf of 20,000 salaried retirees, we're so grateful. We got another step to go. Excuse me. I worked similar to Al. I worked 39 years for General Motors in Delphi, and I retired in 2008. In July of 2009, I was enjoying our pension that we'd earned, and it was fully funded. And then GM went into bankruptcy. and then the government intervened into the bankruptcy process. Had that not have occurred, we would continue to be enjoying the benefits of our fully funded pension plan. So that created enormous hardship, bankruptcies, foreclosures, and worse. We got a long list of the hardship that was imposed needlessly on Delphi salaried retirees. So yesterday was a big step in the House vote, and we got one more step to go. And with the leadership from you three and ourselves, of course, we're looking forward to the next step, and so grateful on behalf of all of us for your help. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Tom. Now I'll turn it back to Kelly to navigate any questions from the news media who might be curious. And if I could ask if members of the news media have a specific question to a specific member of the panel here today, please point that out. Kelly?
All right, if you have a question for anyone here, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask, and we will send a recording after for everyone.
Congressman Kildee, why was it so important for you to get this done for these workers?
Well, thanks for the question. For two reasons. One, this was an injustice. And no matter who suffers an injustice in this country, they ought to be able to turn to the government, to the Congress of the United States, to seek justice, to seek some balancing of the scales. So I was personally moved by the stories that I've heard about this really unfair treatment of a certain set of employees. But beyond that, and this is, I'm sure, true for Mike and Tim, the job title and the job description of a representative are one and the same. It's our job to represent the people back home, and it's our job to be their voice. So for me, I'll ask my colleagues if they want to comment as well. For me, this is my job. This is my job to make sure that when someone I represent is wrong, that they have access to the government to correct that wrong. And so I take this very much as a part of my responsibility.
This is Taylor Populars with Spectrum News. Congressman Turner, this question is for Tom Rose sitting next to you. Tom, could you just describe a bit more of the struggles that you and your colleagues faced once the pensions went away?
Yes. Well, the best example is Susan Muffley, as Congressman Kildee mentioned. Retired in 2008, well, forced to retire in 2008, and then lost a combination of pension. We also lost our health care and life insurance. So the combination of the loss of health care and pension, when Susan Muffley started feeling badly, they could not afford medical care. And so she deferred medical care until it was simply too late. And tragic that this happened. That's real harm. There's been, I know, friends of mine, bankruptcies. Friends of mine have been through foreclosures, divorces, and worse. And all the plans that you had when you planned for and earned your retirement got blown out of the water through no fault of our own.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Alison Walker. I'm with ABC 22 and Fox 45 here in Dayton. My question is for really anyone. What precedent do you